This is from a letter written by Thomas Jefferson to some friends of his. Of all the systems of morality, ancient or modern, which have come under my observation, none appear to me so pure as that of Jesus. But in extracting the pure principles which he taught, we should have to strip off the artificial vestments in which they have been muffled by priests, who have travested them into various forms of instruments of riches and power for themselves, forgetting often or not understanding, by giving their own misconceptions and expressing unintelligibly for others what they had not understood themselves. There will be found remaining the most sublime and benevolent code of morals which has ever been offered to man. I have performed this operation for my own use. The result, pure and unsophisticated doctrines, which, as were professed and acted on by the Christians of the first century, their successors indeed in after times, in order to legitimize the corruptions which they had incorporated into their doctrines of Jesus, found it necessary to disavow the primitive Christians, who had taken their principles from the mouth of Jesus himself. They excommunicated their followers as heretics, branding them with the opprobrious name of Ebionites, or beggars. In the New Testament, there is internal evidence that part of it have proceeded from an extraordinary man, and that other parts of the fabric of very inferior minds. I have trust in him who made us what we are, and know it was not his plan to make us always unerring. He has formed us that we may promote the happiness of those with whom he has placed us in society, by acting honestly towards all, benevolently to those who fall within our way, respecting sacredly their rights, bodily and mentally, and cherishing especially their freedom of consciousness, as we value our own. I must ever believe that religion, substantially good, which proceeds an honest life, and we have been authorized by one whom you and I equally respect to judge of the tree by its fruit. Our particular principles of religion are a subject of accountability to our God alone. I inquire after no man, and trouble none with mine. Nor is it given to us in this life to know whether yours or mine, our friends or our foes, are exactly the right. I never will, by any word or act, bow to the shrine of intolerance or admit a right of inquiry into the religious opinions of others. On the contrary, we are bound, you and I, and everyone, to make common cause to maintain the common right of freedom and consciousness. No man has power to let another prescribe his faith. No man can conform his faith to the dictates of another. The life and essence of religion consists in the internal persuasion or belief of the mind. Truth will do well enough if left to shift for herself. She seldom has received much aid from the power of great men, to whom she is rarely known, and seldom welcome. She has no need of force to procure entrance into the minds of men. Error, indeed, has often prevailed by the assistance of power or force. Truth is the proper and sufficient antagonist to error. Reason and experiment have been indulged, and error has fled before them. It is error alone which needs the support of government. Truth can stand by itself. Subject opinion to coercion, whom will you make your inquisitors? Fallible men, governed by bad passions, by private as well as public reasons? And why subject it to coercion in the first place? To produce uniformity? But is uniformity desirable? Difference of opinion is advantageous in religion. The several sects perform the office of censor morum on each other. Is uniformity attainable? Millions of innocent men and women and children since the introduction of Christianity have been burnt, tortured, fined, imprisoned, yet we have not advanced 1 inch towards uniformity. What has been the effects of coercion? To make one half of the world fools and the other half hypocrites? To support roguery and error all over the earth? I consider the doctrines of Jesus as delivered by himself to contain the outlines of the sublimest morality that has ever been taught. But I hold in the most profound detestation and execration the corruptions of it which have been invested by priestcraft and established by kingcraft, constituting a conspiracy of church and state against the civil and religious liberties of mankind. The priests of the different religious sects dread the advance of science, as witches do the approach of daylight. The day will come when the mystical generation of Jesus, by the Supreme Being as his Father, in the womb of a virgin, will be classified with the fable of the generation of Minerva in the brain of Jupiter. But we may hope that the dawn of reason and freedom of thought in these United States will do away all this artificial scaffolding and restore to us the primitive and genuine doctrines of the most venerated reformer of human errors. Thomas Jefferson, ladies and gentlemen. I think he definitely described the canon, the weaponized culture that was developed. Peace be with you, and wisdom and love too.